Hi, I'm Kayla. I'm 23 and I have a net worth of over $250,000. And let's talk money, y'all. I feel like there's a lot of stigma in a lot of communities about money and how you structure it, to talk about it, all of that. To be honest with you, I'm so blessed in the sense that I've been able to hit this, what I think is a financial milestone at this age. And I did it like through a lot of like research and my own research through like books and also watching other people's videos like this. So it's super important to me that I can be somebody that also does that. And so yeah, like let's talk money. Let's get into what a net worth even is, because I get it. People have questions. These things aren't always super easily accessible to everybody. And I personally am not a trust fund baby. My parents didn't set up my Roth IRA or anything like that. So everything that I have, I found out and I like put money towards it, and it's definitely been a lot of learning and, you know, give and take with it, but I'm blessed. I just want to tell y'all a little bit about my journey. Let's get into it. What even is a net worth? I used to hear that term floating around and I always thought it was like for the millionaires and the billionaires. No, everybody has a net worth, and no, it's not always the highest net worth as like a Jeff Bezos, but we all have a net worth and it's obtainable. And if anything, it's important to know what you actually have. Basically, in simple terms, a net worth is what you own minus what you owe. So what you own is like stocks, the money in your bank account. What you owe is like your credit card, payments, student loans, a mortgage, things like that. So I think it's really important to move through life knowing kind of where you stand in terms of like what you actually have, in case anything were to not only bad happen but also good happen. Like, what if you want to make a big investment? Do you have the money or assets to back that up? That's what your net worth is. So it's not a big scary term.
Lord, I'm having a heart attack. Damn, this is some scary shit.
I used to think it was. It's not. Let's talk about mine. I feel like the most important thing that I have and that I really strategically put money towards from a young age, like in college, was my emergency fund. And I tell people all the time, make sure you have an emergency fund. Make sure you have an emergency fund for the good, for the bad, for the ugly, for the beautiful. You never know what's gonna hit, and having money in your back pocket to front that is super important. And I think it provides a level of comfort that you can kind of move through life with, knowing like on a rainy day, if I were to lose my job, I have some months of my expenses backed up. And so for me, my emergency fund is in a high yield savings account, which I also recommend, and it is about $53.8 thousand. Some people are gonna say you should invest more, some people say you should keep more. I don't know. I'm figuring it out for myself, and I'm just trying to share a little bit with you. So moving on. The next one I have is my health savings investment account. And so that's different from your health savings account. Typically in your health savings account, you know, where you set money ahead of time before taxes, you can contribute to like, you know, paying for a copay or paying for something over the counter, like drugstore or tampons or pads, whatever that is. You can use your money for that in a health savings account. You also typically can have the opportunity to invest the money in that account, which I think is kind of like a cool little loophole. I didn't really know that existed, and I found that out once I started working in corporate. So in that account, I have about $2.4 thousand. My next fund I feel like contributed the most in terms of me being able to grow my net worth at this age was my employee stock plan. And so if you don't know what that is, typically, well, not typically actually, depending on what company you join, they will give you an incentive of giving you like stock in the company, so technically equity. And I feel like it can be really helpful depending on what company it is in terms of growing your net worth, because if the company continuously does well in terms of performing, you will be able to benefit from that. And then of course, if it does bad and your stock goes to zero, then that's not really a benefit. So I definitely say just make sure you kind of understand what all goes into a total comp. I think for me, both of them were important in terms of what I got paid on a salary, and then also what my like benefits were in terms of like stock or incentives like that. And so I comfortably am able to be making 6 figures without any stock, just at a base salary. And then I also have been able to get stock as well through like just what I signed on for, and also through being promoted. And so for that, I have $98,000. And yeah, the next thing is as my brokerage accounts, and I feel like this one's a little funny because I have two accounts, one that I started when I was in college and then one that I started once I got into my corporate 9 to 5 and understood stocks a little bit better. And so the first one that I have that I made in college, I have like $1,000 in there. I literally don't even add any money to it. I remember at one point I was losing money so bad in the account and I was just like confused. And then obviously over time and knowledge, I've been able to grow my other brokerage account that I started while being in my 9 to 5 to $26.5 thousand. So that's been good. And then my 401k, if you don't know, a 401k is simply a retirement account, and it allows you to basically give money into account pre-tax, similar to a health savings account, and then be taxed later once you take out that money around retirement. So it's a retirement account and it's tax advantage because you're taking out money pre-tax and adding it to be invested, and you get to pay taxes on it later. And so in that one, I have about $49.2 thousand, and I was also lucky enough to get an internship when I was in undergrad, and I was able to have a 401k in that, and they didn't match anything, but I did contribute to it. So I definitely say if your employer matches your contributions, definitely be hitting that percentage up until like what it is. So like 6%, 5%, 4%. I think that's critical. So my next account is like one of my favorite accounts, and I think it's my favorite account because I had to do a lot of research on it, and it was like one of those terms that I heard floating around and I was like, what is this? And it's a Roth IRA. I feel like the Roth IRA is like a cool account because you don't have to pay taxes on her. Yes, she's a retirement account, but you don't have to pay taxes on her because you contribute money post-tax, which I think is super cool because who doesn't want to not get taxed? I mean, you pay taxes on like everything in this country, so at least get an account where you don't have to pay taxes on it afterwards too. I don't know. So in that account, I have $31.2 thousand, and I also started this account when I was in undergrad, so in college. And I feel like this is a really good account to start just because of the tax advantages, and you can contribute such a small amount to it, whether it's $5, $10. I just feel like, you know, you get started somewhere, and I think it builds that innate habit of like getting familiar with investing. And also, in a Roth IRA, you have to choose your stocks. I did not know that. I don't know if it's widely known. I had money sitting in that account for like a year or a year and a half, and it wasn't invested. And so come to find out, you put money in the account and then you invest the money. So it almost works like a brokerage account in the sense that you buy stocks with money. It's just that in a Roth IRA, you are buying stocks with money in the Roth IRA. So the last thing we have is assets. And with your assets, it's basically things that if you sold today, you could get money today. Things that you can liquidate super quick in a hurry, worst case scenario. And so that could be like your car, that could be like a really nice purse, that could be jewelry. I personally think assets that appreciate in value are best, but there's also assets that depreciate in value, like a car, for instance. And literally, like, all cars depreciate. I think it is a very select few that don't depreciate, and I think even then they just hold their value a little bit better. And so in that case, I personally still drive my car that I got like when I was 16 or 17, and she drives perfectly fine, and I love her down, and I don't have a car payment, so I get to put money towards things that I want to put my money towards. And so I feel like you also have to think of it like that. Pick your poison and put your money to it according to what you and how you want to live. Like, don't be buying just everything out here. You don't need a new car and a new purse, and you know, you making minimum wage. That's kind of crazy, right? You gotta have a little bit of intentionality with your money. I think that's really critical. I would just modestly put that at like $7,000-$8,000. Now, in terms of jewelry, because that is something that I like to invest in, I think depending on what pieces you get, it could be an appreciating jewelry piece, especially when a lot of these companies will increase their prices every year, and so the resale market also gets like a kick up too. And so I personally have found that jewelry is kind of a nice holding value / appreciating asset depending on what brand, because there are a select few, and I've invested in a few pieces, and I'm not going to disclose like the number on there just because I don't really think that's super important, but maybe one day I could do like a collection, or you know, just how I got into it. I don't know, whatever you guys think. I almost forgot to add what I owe, which is a critical part in your net worth, because again, it is what you own minus what you owe. So let's talk about what I owe. I actually owe like 1.5K in student loans, and that's because one year my paperwork got super messed up and they told me I need to take out a student loan, and I actually did it, and now I have a student loan. It definitely can be paid off. I just don't feel like it's a priority. My student loan interest rate is lower than my average return in an investment account, so eventually I paid off. It's not a big priority right now. In terms of my car, it's fully paid off, so I don't have any debt there. I have no credit card debt. I'm grateful for that. I was never like big on spending more than what I had because that always just felt very unnatural and uncomfortable, and I went through a period of like save, 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 and like kind of like a scarcity mindset or survival mindset, however you want to put it. But I was never big on like spending more than I had, so therefore I luckily don't have any credit card debt, because credit card debt can also happen in emergencies and etc. So I definitely get it. I feel like something else I forgot to add is that budgets are super helpful. I personally use a budget, and I like to just understand where my money is going, because if you don't know where your money is going, I don't know, like that just scares me a little bit, but it happens and it's normal, and a ton of people don't know where their money's going. So I feel like meeting with your money, having a little coffee date every other week to see like, how am I spending? What am I spending my money on? Can help you understand it a little bit better and, you know, be intentional about it, because maybe you don't want to be paying $50 on Netflix, HBO Max, Hulu, and all of those things when you're only watching one show on one streaming platform. You know, that's what I'm talking about when I'm saying being intentional. I'm not saying be like scarce with yourself. I don't believe in a scarcity mindset, but I do believe in an intentionality behind the way you make your decisions. And I think that's super important to do with your money, and I think budgeting is a huge help. I have a link below with my budget that I personally use and that I created. So yeah, definitely check that out if you too want to be able to manage your money a little bit better. Yeah, that's my overall net worth. I've been very blessed to accumulate over $250,000 at 23. I'm thankful for, you know, I think the basics that my parents shared with me. I'm thankful that I was able to go to a school that was kind of a bigger school, and I think also helped me get a job. There's so many factors that play a role, and I don't take lightly to those, and I recognize I'm, you know, very fortunate and to be in this position. So yeah, I'm blessed, I'm thankful, I'm grateful, and you know, let me know what financial tips you have. Let me know if there's financial things you want to talk about. I want this space to be a space where I'm learning and you're learning, you know what I mean? Like, I think everybody can learn something from somebody. I'm just trying to figure it out. I'm just trying to show you how I'm figuring it out, and let's figure it out together, because maybe we'll be a little better doing it. All right, I'll see you guys in my next video.